What's going on, Dodgers Nation? Doug McCain here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. For all things Dodger baseball, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. And if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. And as always, I want your takes down below in the comment section. Today's Dodgers Nation question of the day. Right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how upset are you still about the Astros stealing the 2017 World Series on a scale of 1 to 10? And will you ever be over the Astros stealing the 2017 World Series? And if you were Commissioner Rob Manfred, how would you have punished the players? Let me know down below in the comment section. I can't wait to get all your takes on this one, so be sure to drop those down below. And for all latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. So the day has finally arrived. It's trash day today at Dodger Stadium. The Houston Astros come to town for the first time with fans at Dodger Stadium since learning of the 2017 sign-stealing scandal that rocked Major League Baseball. And you know Dodger fans are going to bring it. They're going to be serenading the Astros with boos all night long. Even if you're not at the game, if you're a Dodger fan watching the game, just boo as loud as you can from your home so they can hear you from Dodger Stadium. That is what they need to do tonight. Now, both teams had the day off yesterday, and Carlos Correa, he spent his day off at the beach, and unfortunately, he didn't realize that it was trash day in Santa Monica.
He's trash.
Okay, I apologize to trash everywhere because they don't want to be compared to Carlos Correa. But look, everyone's done tons of videos about the Astros sign-stealing scandal, recapping the events that occurred, highlighting all the heroes that exposed the Astros. Guys like the Athletics' Ken Rosenthal and Evan Drellich, from Jimmy O'Brien, John Boy himself, to Danny Farquhar, to Mike Fiers. We salute you guys for your hard work. But today I want to focus in on Carlos Beltran and Alex Cora, because I'm telling you, without those two guys, there is no Astros sign-stealing scandal. If you read the initial report from Major League Baseball about the sign-stealing scandal, it doesn't name any players by name except for Carlos Beltran. In the second paragraph of the section labeled Facts and Findings, it says, approximately 2 months into the 2017 season, a group of players, including Carlos Beltran, discussed that the team could improve on decoding opposing teams' signs and communicating those signs to the batter. So that's very telling right there, because Carlos Beltran, he would go on to be hired by the New York Mets to be their manager. Eventually, he was let go because of the sign-stealing scandal, but the players were offered immunity, and you don't see any other players' names included in the report. Now, let's rewind a little to see how we got to this point. Well, Carlos Beltran, he was on the Houston Astros in 2004, and he was a free agent at the end of the season. He would go on to sign a 7-year, $119 million deal with the New York Mets. Then at age 41, he re-signed with the Houston Astros on a 1-year, $16 million contract, and he was brought in for one reason: to mentor the young players and help them get better, because that is what Carlos Beltran loved to do. He loved to mentor the young guys, and there's a book called Cheated: The Inside Story of the Astros Scandal and a Colorful History of Sign Stealing by Andy Martino, and he details Carlos Beltran's role. And basically, as the story goes, they go down to West Palm Beach, Florida for spring training, and Carlos Beltran, he brings with him his pitching machine. And his pitching machine, it throws fastballs at a high rate, and the players, they get into it. And then also, there's an Edgertronic camera. So the Astros, they had invested $4,000 in this camera 2 years before Beltran arrived, and it was mainly used to record bullpen sessions, to look at pitchers' grips. But Carlos Beltran had the idea to use this Edgertronic camera to start reviewing swings, because one of his tasks was to mentor some of these young players. You know, George Springer, Carlos Correa, Jake Marisnick, Yuli Gurriel, to name a few. They wanted to modify these players' swings, have them swing with some more launch angle to try to hit balls out. So originally, this Edgertronic camera, this technology, it was intended for good. It was intended to help these young players improve their swings, but unfortunately, Carlos Beltran and Alex Cora, they found a way to turn into the cheating scandal that changed baseball forever. Here are some of the details from Andy Martino's book, which I highly recommend if you're interested in the Astros sign-stealing scandal. Here's how it went down with Beltran and Alex Cora. Guys, Carlos Beltran told his new Houston Astros teammates in the spring of 2017, "Your sequences have always been way too easy. I can pick all of them up from second base." To that, bench coach Alex Cora added, "You know what all winning teams do? They steal signs from second." So look, they already sound super shady, but it is important to note that sign stealing has been a part of Major League Baseball since the beginning of the sport, but what they did was a little different. Look, it's legal to lift weights, but it's illegal to lift weights while you're doing steroids, okay? What they did was sign stealing on steroids, and it goes on to say, over the next few weeks, the Astros' legitimate and shadier pursuits began to mingle. Decoding sign sequences and identifying pitch tippers was a natural part of Cora's skill set, and he, like Beltran, was giddy at all the new tools available. During the initial weeks of the season, Astros employees in the replay room used the code breaker idea to log sequences in an Excel spreadsheet and call the dugout with signs once they figured them out. Typically, it was Cora who would pick up the phone. This was not a cell phone, but a landline that rang loudly. That almost ended the cheating right there. Sitting on the bench, Cora would wince when he heard it. Ring, ring. So they realized there was a problem, and it was where the monitors were set up. There, Beltran and Cora noted an inconvenience that was relatively unique to the Astros, and one that would become absolutely key to the scandal that soon developed. Many teams had built their replay rooms behind the dugout, but the replay room at Minute Maid Park was much farther away. In order to get there to watch at-bats, a player had to walk down the dugout steps, up a separate set of stairs to the clubhouse, then down a hallway. That not only made it harder to watch legal video during games, but it complicated the early version of the sign-stealing operation. So what happens next is they convince Lunau and all the powers that be to set up a monitor and a viewing system that was right behind the Astros dugout. So it was Alex Cora that made it known that for them to pull off this elaborate sign-stealing, that they were going to need easier access to these monitors, and he's the guy that spearheaded this mission. It even talked about how he tried to use the Apple Watch back then, but instead they built this monitor room, and at the time, the front office, the analytics department, they really thought it was so they could analyze their swings after at-bats, which was to use it for its intended purpose, which was to break down their swings and watch them at 1,000 frames per second, but that's not what was happening. It says, but the Edgertronic explanation turned out to be a cover for sign stealing. It was possible on the new monitor and the mouse and keyboard in front of it to toggle between the Edgertronic feed and one that offered a regular live feed from a camera mounted in center field. One only needed to learn the IP address that would bring up the center field feed and then watch the catcher put down his signs. With his patient, caring style, Beltran taught teammates how to decode sequences. Players would arrive at the ballpark early, watch footage of that day's pitcher, and bond over the shared pursuit. So you saw how it went down. Alex Cora and Carlos Beltran, they were the masterminds behind this. They were the central figures that led to all of this. And yes, the players, they're at fault because they benefited from it. And who benefited the most? I call these guys the bang-a-factors of the trash can banging. And if you go to the website, signstealingscandal.com, it tells you which players benefited the most from the trash can banging and the sign stealing. And coming in at number one is Marwin Gonzalez. He got 147 bangs on 807 pitches. Next was George Springer. He got 140 bangs. Carlos Beltran, of course, was third with 138 bangs. Alex Bregman got 133 bangs. Yuli Gurriel got 120 bangs. Carlos Correa got 97 bangs. Jake Marisnick, 83 bangs. And Evan Gattis, 71 bangs. So those are the big ones. You notice you don't see Jose Altuve up on that list. loudest. By most accounts and the research I've done, he's a guy that for a lot of times refused any help. He says that it clouded his judgment there at the plate. So who knows if that's true or not, but based on all the research, those are the guys that benefited the most. Now, when it comes to Alex Cora and Carlos Beltran, you know these guys are shady. Here's Alex Cora after the Yankees-Red Sox game in London where he mentions Carlos Beltran. Tell me this isn't shady.
I was joking with somebody that their biggest free agent acquisition is Carlos Beltran. Carlos Beltran. Carlos Beltran.
Carlos Beltran.
So for my Astros sign-stealing scandal blaming power rankings, coming in at number 1 is Carlos Beltran, and coming in at 1B is Alex Cora. Those are the two guys at the top. Those are the two you have to focus all your booze on. And then coming in at number 3, I have former Astros GM Jeff Lunau. He's the guy that fostered this culture in Houston where they want to win by any means necessary, and he deserves a lot of the blame because, look, he turned a blind eye. He didn't know enough at the time. Well, he should have known more. He should have found out what was going on and put a stop to all this. And then after that, I'm giving the blame to Jim Crane, the owner of the Houston Astros. It starts at the top. You have to know what's going on in your organization. Then I'm going to give it to Alex Bregman. It says that he was a quick study, that he was big on decoding the signs. You know that he's one of the leaders in that clubhouse. And any of these guys could have stepped up and said, hey, this is not going on in my clubhouse, on my team. He could have stopped it, and he did it. Then after that, I'm going with George Springer because George Springer is the guy that won World Series MVP. He's the guy that signed the big deal with the Toronto Blue Jays. Well, he benefited heavily off the sign stealing. And then I'm going Carlos Correa because he also benefited heavily from it. He's also been a jerk about it since, trying to downplay it, trying to make sense of it, trying to act like it wasn't a big deal. So those are the big players that get the blame for me. And then down the line is Jose Altuve. By most accounts, Jose Altuve didn't benefit from the sign stealing as much as the other players on the team, but hey, he's another guy that had the clout in that clubhouse. If he wanted to shut it down, he could have, so he's not absolved from booing either. He was associated, guilt by association, and he could have shut it down. Then you got the Marwin Gonzalez's, the Jake Marisniks. Evan Gattis is just terrible. If you listen to that guy's an absolute train wreck. But let me know down below in the comment section. Give me your power rankings as far as who gets the most blame. How upset are you still on a scale of 1 to 10 about the Astros sign stealing scandal, and how do you think the commissioner should have handled it? We're going to do another video about this tomorrow, but let me know down below in the comment section. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. For all things Dodger baseball, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. For all latest Dodgers Nation merch, head over to gearup.la. For latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and screw the Astros.